guys, and welcome back to another one of our videos. We really hope that you enjoyed our last couple of videos. If you haven't checked it out, we did breast versus bottle, and we did a part 1 and a part 2. If we missed anything, please let us know. We would be happy to do a part 3 on that.
It's a big subject.
It is a very big subject. There's a lot to cover. And we actually got the idea from one of our followers. So we love that. We love the comments and the ideas. So if you have any more, please feel free to comment below. In this video, we are going to be talking about bad habits. We are going to be talking about creating bad habits.
Which you don't want to do.
Which you don't want to do. Just, we'll clarify that right off the bat. We're going to talk about fixing bad habits and preventing bad habits, which is the biggest one, most important, I feel like, because if you can just set yourself up for success right off the bat, that is
much easier.
Much easier. But before we dive into this, I'm Taylor.
I'm Tracy.
And we are
TNT.
What tea are you drinking?
Budweiser. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
It totally does look like a beer.
It does look like we're drinking beer today.
Shh, that was our secret.
All my ice melted, but I am drinking actually iced tea, and this is a mint iced tea today. It's honestly, as far as iced tea goes, it's one of my favorites because it's just super refreshing.
Yeah, it's good. And it's a very hot day today, which is why I am also drinking an iced tea, which, again, what she just said, my ice melted. So we were actually sick a few weeks ago. There was sicknesses running through the whole family. So I had bought some teas to help with that. And one of them was a lemon everyday immune booster.
Nice.
And that's what I'm drinking today. It's actually really good, even just as like a regular everyday tea, not just for when you're sick. But I also found it very refreshing when we were dealing with sore throats and things like that. So it's good both ways.
There you go.
There
Good tip.
You go. Okay, so I guess I'm going to be kicking us off this time around because the reason I got the idea to do this video is because I started realizing that I have been creating bad habits with my kids. So now I'm trying to backpedal.
It's easy to do.
It is. I'm trying to backpedal now, and so that's another reason why I'd love to discuss this, because I would love to hear some tips and advice from this one, but also from you guys, because I know that I'm not perfect, and I am trying to correct some of the things that I've been doing.
Yep.
So let's get into it. Probably the number one biggest struggle that I've been dealing with right now is that my daughter does not want to sit in her high chair and eat her food. She wants to be all over the place. She wants to climb all over the chairs. She wants to sit in people's laps. She will even go play for a little while and come back and take a bite, and then go play for a while and then come back and take a bite, which for a while I was just like whatever about, because my house can get very chaotic at times. There's just so much going on, and it's like, okay, if she's eating, she's eating. That's fine. I just don't even care. But now I've started realizing that I've created a little monster because now she gets so mad at me every time I put her in her high chair, and we actually strap her in, and she's fighting the straps the whole time, and she just gets really upset, which also makes for a very unpleasant meal.
Right.
I am trying to backpedal on that a little bit and trying to kind of retrain her how to sit and eat properly.
Well, you know, the tips that we're going to give you here as far as fixing bad habits go can apply obviously to any bad habit that you've created.
Yeah.
A bad habit that can be created a lot of times too is bedtime routines.
Yeah.
You know, we get in these bedtime routines that, you know, your child, you put them to bed and then they want to drink a water, and then you put them to bed and then they forget that they don't have their stuffed animal, and then you put them to bed, and
there's so many variables,
right,
and like all these excuses. They're like, oh wait, but this, oh wait, but that,
right,
you know, we didn't do this, we didn't do that, and you're like, we're done, it's bedtime,
we're done, it's bedtime. Right. And so that's another one, bad habit that's really easy to create, and I'm sure you have other ones that you've found along the way, and they're created so much faster. They're small humans, and just like us, it's easier to create a bad habit than a good one a lot of times. And you're just like, I didn't realize that that's what I was doing.
Right. Because I think the first time that they ask for water, you're just like, oh, that's not a big deal. Like, I'll just get them a cup of water.
Right.
But then you start realizing, oh, they're going to start asking me every single night.
Yeah.
And then it starts to kind of turn into an issue. And I mean, I'm just using the glass of water as an
Right.
example, but there's so many different things. It's like, and I have found that with my son. He gets very fixated on routines, which can be really good in some aspects, but it can also be very challenging in other aspects, because it's like if you do something one time, if you don't specify, hey, this is a one-time thing,
yes.
then he thinks that he's going to get to do it every single time, and that
Right.
can very quickly turn into a bad habit.
And things with children too is you're not sure, is this a ploy or are they truly thirsty? You know
Right.
what I mean? You don't want to deny your child water. You have this in your head. And so, is it a ploy or is it, an actual need? And sometimes it's difficult to decide between those things. But
Well-
if you have seen one of our previous videos, I told a story how a friend of ours created a bad habit in my son, and it was that fast.
2.5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. She did it one time. She had food in her mouth. She opened her mouth and at him, and took me 2 weeks to break him of that habit.
Yeah.
So, which gets us into fixing bad habits.
Fixing bad habits.
So,
Yes. Well, and I wanted to add real quick to the bedtime routine.
Okay.
Just something that I've started doing is just, because the reason we're talking about the cup of water is because that was an issue with us, right? But whatever it is, just do it all before they're in bed. And that's what I've been teaching him. Like, if you want to drink a water, you need to get it before you're in bed, because once you're in bed and I sing to you and I say goodnight and I kiss you and I walk out the door, that's it. It's over, we're done, nothing else. And I think that's what I've been trying to teach him, is like,
Right.
just do it before you're in bed. Once you're in bed, that's it.
Right, and that's a good tip for fixing that particular bad habit.
Well, there you go. Just tied that right
Just
in.
tied that right in. Look at you. Look at you.
I meant to do that. That was on purpose.
So,
But there you go.
once the habit is created, the biggest thing at that point after that is consistency to break the habit. Again, just like with you, as let's say you want to get up and exercise every morning, but you're sleeping in and you're sleeping in a little longer and sleeping, the only way to break that kind of habit is to consistently set your alarm and get up every morning. And you have to be consistent for like 3 weeks, I think it is, to break a bad habit. I would have to look that up, but
Yeah.
everybody can Google. But anyway,
Yeah.
but consistency, I think, is the biggest thing. When my son kept showing us his food, it was like we had to, first of all, try not to laugh, which is
Which can also be challenging in certain moments.
because that's just encouraging them. But it was just like every time, close your mouth, no, close your mouth, no, and it was every single meal
Oh, man.
for 2 weeks, and then it finally
He stopped.
he finally
You're like,
stopped.
thank you, friend,
I
for
know.
that. For the next 2 weeks of this.
And just to say, she was a friend who had no children. So if you are, don't be that friend if you have no children.
Don't be that person, okay? If somebody invites you over to their house, please do not teach their kids bad habits. Oh my goodness. Going back to the eating problem that I've created with my daughter, something that I was thinking about was trying to kind of ease her back into the right thing, because sometimes it can be hard for kids, because like you got to think about it from their perspective.
Right.
Like you're allowing them to do whatever it is for this period of time, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
And like that's gonna mess them up too. That's makes it difficult for them, because they're like, I didn't realize I was doing something wrong, and now all of a sudden you're telling me that this is wrong.
Right.
And so I don't think it's, and I'm painting with a big brush here, because I think there are certain situations that maybe some disciplinary tactics are needed, but I think in most cases sort of easing them back into the right direction is the right way to go. Like just trying to remind them, okay, you're okay, we're all sitting at the table,
Right.
we're all eating our meal together, this is what we do.
And if you were part of creating that bad habit, you don't want to necessarily punish them
Right.
for that. We didn't want to punish our son
Right.
for something our friend, did, because he wouldn't understand that. That's a good point. If, you realize, ooh, we've kind of done this the wrong way, now we have to kind of slowly undo this and ease them back into that, which is a great transition into our last point, which is preventing bad habits. You have to think about these things ahead of time. Parenting. It's such a
It's
your brain
so
is
much.
constantly going, and I think a lot of times we're so in the moment that we don't think long term, and you really have to think long term.
Yes.
Like, what is this going to look like tomorrow, next week, next year?
Which is
These
hard
things that
to
I'm
do.
doing. Yeah.
I'm very much like a in the moment kind of a person. Like I am a planner. I love making plans and everything. I'm a planner for a couple of days or like a week or something. I'm not very good at like long term things. Like that is definitely I think a struggle for me. So that is definitely something really good to keep in mind. Okay, how is this going to affect everything in the future?
Exactly. And so for me, one of those really big preventative things for me was I wanted modesty in dress in our family. I never put anything on her as a small child that I would not want her to wear as
a teenager,
preteen or a teenager.
Yeah.
Because going back to what we said before, then I never have to undo that, or I never have to explain to her why, oh, but I used to, now I can't.
Right.
I didn't wear belly shirts or bikinis or let her run around in her underwear or out in public and things like that, because I was already creating the habits for the future for her to understand the modesty that, we wanted to have in her dress. In this modern day age, it can be really difficult. We sometimes when we would go shopping for, say, shorts or a bathing suit or something like that, we would shop and shop and shop and shop.
Those are hard ones. Bathing suits are still so hard.
Yeah.
I will say though, I've recently been finding some really great like modest bathing suits.
And some of them are almost like that
1950s
so style, going back to that.
I love that, really like cute. The high-waisted,
Mm-hmm.
And then like you can still wear something cute and still mm-hmm. cover yourself up. And
yep.
I think those are great habits because I'm trying to do the same thing with my daughter. But again, in this day and age, there's, and I'm not trying to offend anybody here, but there's a lot of videos and things out there that, of like little boys and girls that are dressing like adults and having like, they have like these kind of risky looking outfits on and things. And, people think that they're so cute and so adorable. And I just can't help but think to myself, like, that's just creating a bad habit. Because then
creating
in the future, they're going to be like, well, I used to wear things like this. And I think it starts now. Like, it starts when they're kids.
Just quickly, some of those other things that we need to start from the very beginning are, helping the family and just being part of family.
Yeah.
This is just what we do as a family. I came in today, there was Legos
exploded all over the whole house.
Well, that's what Legos are for, right?
Absolutely.
But there were Legos, and my grandson said, I didn't do this, my sister did. And I said, well, we're going to help anyway, because that's what families do. And a few days ago we were unloading the dishwasher, and my granddaughter was helping unload the dishwasher.
She actually does a good job with it. She's really like learning how to be helpful.
Right. And she's not even a year and a half yet. So, those are the things that we want to think about. What do we want our child to do in the future that we can start them doing now?
Yeah. That whole chores thing is a reference back to one of our other videos. Mm-hmm. I think staying organized, getting your family involved. Again, it starts now. And I love that, like what you were talking about, being a family. That's something we use the term in our family, being a team player. Like we're a team, we're a family, and that's something that I'm always trying to explain to my kids, like this is what like we do for each other, because we love each other. We're here for each other. Even if you didn't make the mess, it's okay for you to come help us out.
Because mommy doesn't make most of the messes around their house, right? She's cleaning them up all day
long. Right? So I think those are great things to keep in mind. And as far as preventing, the issues that we were discussing in the very beginning of this video, as far as eating goes or the bedtime, and again, that starts as when they're like little babies. So I think if you want them to learn how to sit in a high chair, you're just gonna have to sit them in there, and when the meal's over, you take them out.
Right.
And that's definitely something that I did not do. So.
And speaking about creating good bedtime routines, final quick story. I created the habit with my son that he would only sleep if I was holding him.
Yep.
I held him way too much. Now, I do not think it's a bad thing at all to hold your infant. It's important to create trust and security.
Absolutely.
And
Skin to skin.
all that kind of thing. But there does come a point you really have to put them down. And I held him to the point that if I tried to put him down, he would wake up. And because I was a new mom and was learning these things sort of as I went, as soon as he would start fussing, I would pick him straight back up again. And created this really bad habit that honestly was extremely difficult to break. We're going to talk about that in our next video, because we're going to talk all about sleep and sleep patterns and regression and all those fun things.
All those fun things, yes. And I will share my story about my baby girl in that video, because I went through something kind of similar that she did, but it lasted for months. So please come back and check out our next video, when we talk about creating good habits and setting yourself up, you and your baby, up for success right from the beginning. So thank you so much for joining us. We are excited to have another video out there. Woohoo! Please comment and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Until next time.
Cheers.
Cheers. Are you checking on baby girl? Okay.
She's good.
She's good. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
It's fine. It's all fine.
You're fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
We're fine.
We're all good.
Why would you think we're not fine?
Take 3. Here we go. We want to just again, like we
Did you get that?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
good.
what I was trying to
All
say.
right, moving on.
Cool. But before we get into that, okay.
I just noticed sometimes that my smile is really crooked. See, which side? I can't even do that when it's.
You good?
Okay,
You good now?
I'm good. Okay, so let's go.
All right. That's a wrap.